Well, hello. It's Beyond Babbitt, baby. This is your host, Brian Anthony. It's one of the most important weeks of this year happening right now. Ww3 plans, battle plans are being drawn up right now. I don't know what they are. They haven't been leaked to the public. But let's go ahead and get started. I was going to go live, but something is not right with the live right now. But we're going to do it anyway. Bilderberg 2018. This is the 66th. You hear me? 66th Bilderberg meeting. Began on June the 7th. And it ends today, June the 10th. And we'll talk about what's been discussed at the Bilderberg, but we'll also talk about all the other important meetings that are happening simultaneously at the exact same time by the powers that be, by leaders of nations and countries and cities and states and leaders of religions. Yeah. Oh, this thing's big. So first up, not only is this the 66th Bilderberg meeting, but there's a Secretary of State, a representative from the Vatican there. The Pope sent one of his delegates. The Secretary of State, he's a cardinal from the Vatican. First time a Jesuit Pope priest from the Vatican has ever attended a Bilderberg meeting. That's significant within itself. What could they be discussing? Not only that, we're not through yet. Okay, so we have the G7 meeting, with the seven most stable countries, the seven richest countries, but Russia wasn't invited. Russia used to be invited. It was the G8, and they kicked Russia out about a year ago. And then we have a NATO meeting with the generals of NATO during the same time period. Not only that, we have Russia and China security meeting, and they have representatives from Iran and Pakistan attending. See, this should all start to make sense. We should start to see something here, a pattern that man, it's not. So the Bilderberg meeting happens once a year around this time of year. So the things they talk about and discuss now are usually implemented like immediately. So by the next year, they'd have a new agenda, and they're ongoing. It's not just, do this one day, 1 month. It's the new policies that are ongoing. Okay, so now I got some notes here. Okay, so we mentioned the Bilderbergs with the Vatican. There's a Secretary of State from the Vatican. We mentioned the G7 meeting going on right now as well. The richest nations. We mentioned the NATO meeting, the war generals, right? I didn't mention that Trump is also supposed to be meeting both of them around. Trump from the U.S. and Kim Jong-un from North Korea have landed in Singapore. They're supposed to be meeting. Now, the interesting thing is Kim Jong-un was accompanied by fighter jets from China. So he's still their puppet. So they've already landed Trump and Kim Jong-un. Matter of fact, Trump left the G7 meeting early. And matter of fact, Trump was like, "Where's Putin? Why didn't y'all invite Putin?" And he just left. And he's doing a good thing. He got the world, standing on end, because they're trying to really finish off the New World Order. And Merkel, Chancellor Merkel, Hitler's daughter, was really just pressing him to, you know, come along with this globalism. And it's a beautiful picture. Trump sitting at the table with his arms folded, everybody at him like, come on. Abe behind him with his arms folded. And it's like Trump's not budging. He left, man, and thank God. He went to go talk to Kim Jong-un. And we're supposed to get that nuclear deal done. Get them squared away to where there's no problem there. Now, the Russia and China security meeting. And they have delegates from Pakistan and Iran. You know what that's about. You know what that's about. That has to be about the West versus the East. Israel versus Iran. World War III, in other words. So those are all the great meetings we have going on at the 66th, during the time of the 66th Bilderberg meeting. But that's not it. It's a lot more. So let's talk about it, right? Now, I looked at DEPCA again. And Damascus has said this. This is what the Damascus, Syria, the capital of Syria, said. Assad, he said, there's Damascus, big offensives to capture Kenitra and Dara this week. He's talking about this week. Today is the first day of the, Sunday is the first day of the week, the 10th. Okay? As soon as Israel heard that, here's the article. Sudden IDF, that's Israeli Defense Force, call up of reserves after Syria announces Kenitra offensive this week. See? It's a Mexican standoff already. Israel is not going to play. Israel is not going to, you know, they warn you once, and after that, they dropping bombs. They dropping bombs. They will bomb. So, it's not nobody to play with. So back to the Bilderberg meeting. Besides the people that are attending, some of the agendas that they're looking at, right? They're discussing, because these are the people these are the movers and shakers. These are the people who control the money, the economies of all the world, the gold and silver, the oil, the fiat currency, make the policies and laws for all these different countries, you know, and we're all a part of it. So, you know, some of them are elected, some of them are not. Some of them are supposed to be royalty. So, they're discussing populism in Europe. What's populism? That's governed by the people for the people, like the United States. And they don't like that. They like totalitarian regimes and monarchies, you know, where someone get a lifetime appointment, kind of like what Xi just did in China, or the Queen of England. You know, they say she's a puppet, but no, the parliament is the puppet. You know, she can shut down anything, change any law anytime she gets ready. So, now, also on the agenda at the Bilderberg is Saudi Arabia and Iran. Why is that important? These are the leaders of the Muslim nations, of the Muslims, period. Saudi Arabia is the head of the Sunni sect of the Muslims, and Iran is the leader of the Shias. They haven't gotten along since Muhammad died, but all Muslims, period, unless you're a Nation of Islam, which is the American sect, all other Muslims around the world, you're either going to be Sunni or you're going to be Shia. That's it. That's the majority. I mean, and then they have different branches off inside of those as well, but overall, that's it, man. So we don't know what they're discussing there, but we know they're gonna straighten that out. It's gonna be one by the end of everything. They're discussing the U.S./Trump world leadership. Apparently they don't like it. He's not doing what they told him to do. He's not an all-in puppet like all of the other presidents we've had. So he's saying a lot of no, know. And so apparently they are making plans to do something about it, to change that, right? To bring us, the United States, into subjection. Okay. Besides that, they have the U.S./Trump before the midterms. So you know that they're trying to rig things. They don't want the Republicans to win, the Patriots to win, the conservatives to win over here. Because, you know, the article I did about China and how China's taking over, how it said that the liberals, the Democrats, the communists support the Democrats. No, that's not me. That's them saying that. So it looks like, you know, they claim Russia butted into our 2016 elections. I have to disagree. But somebody's going to butt into these elections, it looks like. Definitely looks like that. Because they want to know what to do about it. So there's an offensive. It's definitely going to be, they're going to use social media, they're going to use regular media, they're going to use everything they can to influence our elections to, you know, change what we have going over here. Our duly elected president. Okay. So they're also discussing Russia, which, of course, I said Putin was kicked out of the G7. Russia was. So, Putin is turning out to be like a Trump. He's bucking the New World Order, pretty much. But I think it's because he probably wants to be the number one, and China's been pegged to be it. So maybe that's the reason. But anyway, it's a good thing he's bucking. It's a good thing he's doing that. They're also going to discuss AI and the future of work, because I don't know if y'all know this, but AI is ready now. It's ready now. They're ready to roll it out now. The autonomous cars. Basically everything a human does in this world today can be done by machine, can be done by computer. The creation that God created, the Homo sapien sapien, male and female, are soon, or maybe even now, obsolete. Computers can fix themselves, can create themselves, can design themselves. Anything that you and I could do, they could do it. And they're saying they could do it better and faster and cheaper. That's good news for the people with the money, right? For the people who run everything. That's real good news for them. Not so much for us, who have to work for them, or try to do business, try to partner up with them some kind of way. Because here, the rich gets richer. See, with the AI, the rich don't know they're destroying themselves, because there's no off button per se. You know, once they get rid of us, who do you think they're coming for next? So the AI and the future of work, they're two separate agendas, but they can be ran together, you know, similar things. And they're talking about free trade. You know, we're going to talk about the trade wars heating up. We've slapped sanctions on our quote-unquote allies, Canada and Mexico. And everybody is becoming isolationist, because the money is drying up. The money is failing. The money system is failing. And they're trying their best to stay in power, to stay rich, and to keep the thing rolling. But it's based off of credit. It's a debt system. And it's not going to work. It's not going to last. So they're discussing that. So what I'm going to tell you now is very important. So this is for the rest of 2018, for the second half of 2018, starting now, June, and until the next Bilderberg meeting next June. So the next year is going to be very, very pivotal, very, very important. They're going full speed ahead with this thing. They're pushing on. They're pushing on. And then, after that, they have, oh, Jesus, I'm starting to see homeless people everywhere, walking around, digging in trash cans, and, you know, some of them it may be their own fault. Some of them are just victim of the circumstances, you know. And it's going to happen to the poor people first. You know, but the wealthy, it may not affect them the same kind of way. So, free trade, we already discussed that. Post-truth world. So the truthers, you know, we've already noticed how they're censoring social media, they're censoring YouTube, they're, the truth when it comes out. You know, mainstream media is losing all kind of viewerships and losing money, losing commercials, because nobody don't want to hear the lies, man. People, there are certain people who are smart enough to figure it out that you're just making this stuff up as you go along. And they don't want to hear it. So they're talking about the post-truth world, with the narrative that they put out. You're gonna have to go with that narrative, you know. Re-education, in other words, re-education. So let me boil this down and break this down to tell you what all this means. So between June 2018 and June 2019, it's going to go down. That's the bottom line. That's just the plain bottom line. What's going to go down? Well, World War III. The New World Order. Cashless society. Mark of the beast. Financial collapse. Trade war. The great deception and the strong delusion. And what that is, the great deception and the strong delusion, they may have the alien disclosure. They may say the aliens have landed and that they're our gods and we need to worship them. The Antichrist may come back and get back in power. They may be planning harm to President Trump. They didn't expect him to win. He won. They thought he would be impeached. He's not. They didn't think he'd be strong enough to pull the midterms to get other Republicans, other conservatives elected. He is. And he's messing up their game plan. He could set, like I said before, he could set the New World Order back 100 years. So they're planning something for him. Surprise. The cake is baked. So we need to be very prayerful. We need to be on alert, high alert. We already know that they've tagged China to be the next superpower. And we know that the U.S. and Russia are going to have to bow down. And everybody knows that the U.S. is having a problem with that. We're going to have a problem with that because we free. You see what I'm saying? So it's a saying like, we rather die on our feet than to live on our knees. You're here in this United States of America. So we don't know what they're going to have to do. But they're going to have to come with it. And I know they are. And I know they are. So Lord willing, we'll get more in our topics, our discussion about 2018 is Great Tribulation and there is no rapture. We'll talk more about the anti and things to come. You know, hit the like button. Share, subscribe, send this to everybody you know. Because it's just this serious. I'm not just crying wolf here. These people are just not meeting. They're not spending all these millions of dollars at these expensive hotels, all this security, to meet just for nothing. No, the stuff that they come up with, But just better believe they're planning on implementing it. Beyond Babbitt. Till the next time. Over and out.